and welcome to HECC Podcast Live. We are at the afternoon of day 2 in beautiful Union Station, downtown Indianapolis. This is not a virtual background behind us. It is in the Grand Hall here at Union Station, which is a super location to have one of the premier EdTech conferences in Indiana. But today we have 2 special guests. They are the OGs of tech integration in the state of Indiana. You've seen them at all the summer learning conferences. You've seen them all over the state. You've probably seen them on a few wanted ads.
They do have a following.
They do have a following. We always know that if we can get these guys in one of our workshops, then it's going to be standing room only, and I can confirm that has been the case once again this year. But we have both. I've got your special. Take this off here just a second. Take the banner off. There we go. We have Chris Young and Kline joining us as well today. And so we're going to talk all things EdTech, and I'm sure we will get off topic as well. So welcome both of you to HECC Live. First, you're doing that.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I'm excited. I don't think we're going to get off topic at all. Chris has all of his responses listed out. And then we're going straight verbatim from this.
And you have not been prepared.
I have not been prepared.
And so, folks, that is why he is Kyle 2 and I am Kyle 1.
I am number 2.
Let's go with Kyle 1 and Kyle A. That way there's less me.
You know what?
I will not remember that.
Are you sure? I like that, Kurt. That's a great idea.
Whatever you guys choose. You are the guest today. So
Alpha. I'll be Alpha Kyle.
That's what I think of.
What about not getting off topic?
So, one of my first questions that I thought of for Chris specifically, if you've seen Chris, you've seen his shoes. You've got quite the collection. What is your current favorite set of shoes that you've got?
All right. Well, so the easiest is to go with what I'm currently wearing. So I tell people that you can tell how excited I am to be at a place that I present at by how sick my shoes are. And so, anyways, so these are, I've only worn them one other time, but these are some Air Force Ones that are, they're from New Orleans, but you can see like the diamondy Nike sign. They've got like the gold tips and then the New Orleans zip code, or
Nice.
not zip code, area code. So, Dunks, Air Force Ones, Jordans, those are my go-to. But
I just want to let you know out there, those are way brighter in person than what they're probably coming across on this screen.
Shining off my head.
Now, I know the big thing with our middle schoolers is no creases.
Yep.
I didn't see any creases. How do you do that?
So I literally buy inserts that you put on the top of the shoe that glue to the top that prevent creases. It's $10 per shoe, and it's
innovation at its finest, right there.
How many shoes do you think you got right now?
I mean, at least like nice pairs of shoes, at least 40. I would say.
Does your wife know about them?
Yes.
Honey, I've had these for years.
We just won't tell her what you pay for them all, right?
Yeah.
Dude, hey, she's listening right now.
Kyle, what's your favorite pair of shoes you got?
I mean, like any kind of sandals with socks, maybe. No, I got shoes today too. Look at these.
Ooh, those are
These
fancy.
are some nice. These are my Cole Haans that I like.
Yeah.
I had to get them because I do a lot of walking now, and I started getting shin splints. So I had to start paying a little bit more.
Can we see how your inserts go in there?
My inserts. There's none. Yeah, very good. No inserts.
That's awesome.
Well, like I said, you've done a lot of sessions here at the HECC conference. How they've gone? What were some of the topics that you covered and the response so far?
We started off yesterday, kind of midday yesterday. Did an AI demo slam that went really well. I had a good time with that. 5 rounds, we each demonstrated a tool and kind of judged by clapping, laughter, boos, who won that round.
We thought if we could get them clapping real loud, that the people on either side of us would be like, "Man, what are they doing in there? They're really good." And so, at least 10 times.
I'm gonna have to use that in my sessions when I leave.
So, what tool came out on top?
I think it ended up being around the time.
Well, yeah. So, CurePod is probably, and he had CurePod.
And in Magic School.
Yeah, Magic School was popular. I did some. Actually, I put some hair on Kyle.
Yeah.
With some,
Okay, you may need to explain that for our listeners. What that means.
So we were getting ready for our session, and Kyle comes up and he shares with us on Adobe Express the generative fill. I wanted to say regenerative. It's hair.
That'd be amazing.
Much cheaper too.
Oh my goodness.
So have the glasses on to be able to augment it.
That'd be great.
Anyways, but yeah, so I was doing Dolly, which is another like image creation tool, and so I in that with Dolly, I put with the generative fill on Adobe Express and gave Kyle some hair, and did that for one of my slams, and the people liked that one for sure.
That was one of the things when we were organizing the sessions for this year's conference. AI just kept coming up in session proposals left and right, and as people started registering for the conference, that's what I think those sessions just kept getting filled up very quickly, and it's very apparent that AI is the hot topic in education right now when it comes to EdTech technology.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that most sessions like AI, like when I went in to get registered, they were sold out. So that's probably like why my non-AI sessions were not sold out. Or maybe they just knew how the presentation was going to go.
Yeah.
So, what sessions did you do outside of AI?
Well, let's see. Really, the only one is going to be was today digital tools for ELLs. And that went really well. We had a lot of great ideas from other people too, and got to show off some things just to help our kids that maybe are underserved populations. So that one, but then my other one tomorrow is an AI one. So thanks for the 8:30 slot, by the way.
You're welcome.
That's appreciated. So,
Yeah, accessibility I think is huge in education right now as well, and just making sure it's a level playing field for all of our students.
yeah, we gotta get these tools out to the teachers. I mean, let them see what they can do, and then they can give this to the kids, so that way they can better learn what they're doing.
It's definitely going to be interesting over the next couple of years as AI rolls out, whether we want it to and the things or not. It's starting, come out on the private sector of the Google Docs of how that is going to level the field or change the field. It's definitely going to have an impact, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So what is your favorite classroom software out of all of those? If you had to pick one.
It's tough. I mean, I have three. I have like a top three, but probably number one would probably be Magic School, just because they have so many great tools, and they just brought out 4 more new ones today. So one of them is like a DOK question generator. So you can put in your topic, and it will, and whatever DOK you want for your questions, it'll create questions for you, which is such a great tool for teachers, because we're so used to DOK 1s and some 2s, but if you can get at 3 or 4, you get your kids thinking, it's like, wow, but then you don't have the stress of trying to come up with it yourself. So.
Quickly, so it saves that time, which we know is precious for classroom teachers, right?
I think that's huge with AI is being able to increase productivity with our teachers and giving them that time to work. They can work with students and not having to create the content themselves from scratch.
We were talking about some of that the other day on one of the podcasts, and really, it's not so much that they're gaining time back; it's the being able to refocus that time. They're going to spend the same amount of time on their classrooms, almost all of them, but then now we have more time for other things in that classroom.
They are, and I think we spend different time like planning. Like you have less time planning, so you can spend more time on feedback,
right,
for the students. So I think that's where it's really going to help our students in the end.
Have you played with the Make a Song at Magic School?
With the yes.
Where you can have it created a song based on, you put in the person, things about them, and to whatever tune. What song would you create a song to?
What song would I create? I mean, I had a couple good things about Chris yesterday in our session.
My latest one was TLC's Waterfalls.
Ooh, you can't argue with that. I mean, everybody knows you don't go chasing them.
So, Chris, what about you? What's one of your favorite tools?
So if we're gonna stay on AI, my favorite AI tool is probably Dipit. just because, so with Diffit, you can literally any topic that you want, you can type that in, or you can bring in a website, or you can bring in a YouTube video, or just copy and text. But you tell it the grade level you want, and you tell it the language you want. And so he talked about ELs, and its translator is incredible. But it basically almost instantly differentiates text on that topic for those students. And then not only does it do that, it gives you questions, multiple choice, short answer, open response. The open response questions are like better than anything I could ever come up with 100% of the time. So it generates great class discussions. And then what's awesome about it is now, like with those key vocab words it pulls out, like with the click of a button, it creates all these like really high quality looking templates that can be used in Google. The sad part about that is the exporting to Google stuff is the premium, which will go away January 31st. So my advice, and you kind of talked about that today, like whatever it is you teach, go to Diffit, create all the things, because it literally, we talked about how quick it does. At the snap of the finger, you've got so many great resources differentiated for your kid. It would have taken you hours upon hours to do that you can do in 5 minutes. And so I would tell teachers, go to Diffit now and create all the things.
I know one of the things that I've talked to my teachers, like I wish I could see in the future 1 year from now, because I'm eager to see what all these different AI resources, which ones are still going to be free, which one are going to be premiums or some form of the freemium, and which ones are not going to make it.
Right. Well, and that it's very, I'm like, go create all the things now, but who's to say that there's not another new thing out there that is even better? You know, it's like, you don't even need that anymore because we got this now. So
I think that's a cool thing about Diffit though too. It's like when you export it to your like those Google files. I mean, like those files become yours.
Yeah.
So you put them in your Google Drive. So like you're not going to lose them right after that. But like you just may lose the tool to actually export it without having to pay for it. So I think a quote for our district, it is fairly reasonable compared to some of the other tools that are out there. And so it's like, I'd rather almost have this for our teachers so they can, like you said, saving hours on time creating all these slides, docs, and forms. Like, it's
Well worth the investment at that
Oh
point.
my gosh! I mean, I'm not going to say it should cost more, but I mean, I think our district would gladly pay for it. It's very reasonably priced.
So this is in recording, so everyone heard Kyle's willing to pay more for all the products at his district.
I have different zeros.
If it saves classroom teachers time, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, if I could be their savior, that'd be great. I got a halo.
No, it's
already.
fun listening to you guys talk about the tools. You can see the passion coming through of that piece of saving that time and helping out classroom teachers.
Thinking we've talked all the presentation and the tools. What's something back at your school district what does an everyday look like for you guys? I know for me there is no normal
So you
day,
have some dice we can roll.
but a day in the life of Kyle and Chris, what might that look like?
I feel like there was a question earlier about like when you wake up in the morning, did you have that?
Oh, that's late. Oh, we're gonna get
Well, I'm not going
that.
to talk about
That's
that.
a side question.
So, okay, so I'll do that later. So, I mean, mine is like I'm getting emails, texts, like on my drive to work. It's like a half-hour drive. I usually get there at 7:30. So, I drive through the country. I'm watching for deer, possibly answering a text over here. Don't tell my wife my coughs. So, but you know, I mean, that's kind of where it starts. And you walk in the door, and almost every time they're like, "Hey, you know, how are you doing?" I love where I work. The people at Twin Lakes are amazing. So, like, even if they don't have a question, they're still going to go out of their way, just say hi to you, good morning, things like that. And once I step in the door, I have a couple different offices, and it's wherever I'm at, it's almost always somebody going to be showing up, like, you know, putting a shadow in your doorway, which is great to be needed. I mean, I can never argue with that, but it's throughout the day, you may have a schedule of meetings or things you want to get done, but it's ever changing. And so like a lot of times those don't get done, and there's like times where you have things that you want to get done for yourself. But if a teacher calls and asks for help, or if a teacher, you know, texts or emails, like, I mean, you know, we're going to go help them first before we do anything for ourselves. And that's just because hey, that's the nature of the job, but you just want to make other people's jobs easier. I think when they ask like for a job description, I'm like, I don't know, people pleaser. Like that's about the best thing I can say. Like I just
Master
wanna-
Googler.
Master
That's-
Googler. Yeah.
Like people are like, oh, you're so good at EdTech. Like, no, I'm just better at Google.
You ever heard of LMGTF? You know why, right?
I know for me, I always try to be proactive versus reactive versus when they come to you in the panic, you definitely want to help them with that. But I would love to get to that point where I spend more time with the planning with them, sitting down with them, planning and co-teaching with them, and where they take ownership versus the stressed out teacher where you're trying to, I can't get this to figure out how to get this to work with my kids and coming into that as well.
Nailing it down to that root cause.
Yeah.
Right.
Where the hiccup is.
But see though, when every now and again you get like a text or an email, they'll have a question and maybe you can't get to it right away because you're working with somebody else. But then and then you see their second text, oh, I got it figured out. Never mind, we're good. Like thumbs
That's a
up
good-
emojis.
Good
Like,
feeling.
they're like, yeah, I remember
When
when
you
you told
print
us
it
this. Yeah, like, I remember when you told us this earlier. So I got my.
I found your email. You said
Yes.
Yeah, it's in my. It's been filtered into unread.
It'd be interesting to know how much knowledge Mason is held in emails.
Oh, it's my favorite story is I had a teacher ask me one time, hey, can you show me how to filter my emails or set up a rule to move my emails to a different location? I said, where do you want to move it to the trash? I'm like, well, it depends. Who are you wanting to filter? Because if it's me, I'm not teaching you that.
Right click,
Yeah.
mute message.
Anyone with an @ZCS.K12.
I'm great to trash. If there's the word Microsoft involved.
Trash.
What about you, Chris?
So I mean, similar to Kyle, the one thing about my job that I like, there's two things that I love about my job. One is that like every day is different from the other, you know, and so whereas one day I might be working and training teachers and designing professional development, the next day I may be doing something. You mentioned ELs. I do stuff with ELs in my district. I might be planning for different things for ELs, working on grants. Like there's so many different hats that I have that like very few days are the same, which is a nice thing. The other thing I like, and this is different than teaching, one of the biggest changes being in my role in tech integration is that, for your day to have occurred in the classroom, like you had to plan. Like you had to plan for all the things to make your day function. And in this role, like your day comes to you. And so while I do, I get in trouble at home for answering emails after hours and different things like that. And so it's not like I'm not doing stuff in the evening, but like I don't have to plan for tomorrow. Like the issues and the problems are going to come to me just fine. And whereas like kind of as the classroom teacher, like you do have to, I taught science. So like if I didn't have that lab ready to go, like it couldn't happen the next day. And so, that's one of the things though that I do like in this role is like my day always comes to me.
One of my favorite things. Okay. Sorry, I got to add some Kurt. Sorry. Kurt, Kyle, Chris, and Kyle. Right?
Yes.
One of my favorite things is whenever I go into a classroom and then the kids, it's usually an elementary classroom, maybe middle school, the kids get excited when you walk in the door, like, what fun thing are we going to do today? And so I'm like, I kind of look at the teacher and they're like, it's okay. It's like, but like, it's always neat, like whenever you go in and now like you go down the halls and kids will like high five, you're like, hey, what are you pulling in that trunk here? So like, what do you have in that bag? And they want to know like what you have, are you coming to our class? Like, or when are we going to do VR? Like, hey, just talk to your teacher, and but it's always fun like to kind of get recognized because I taught math for 13 years for not a lot of kids came excited. And when I walk in that room and they're like, oh great, he is still here.
That is the best feeling. But last year, for the first time ever, it's only happened one time. I had the opposite, where when I walked into the classroom, the kids like said something, were mad that I was there. So at the high school, the teachers like the kids were cheating. They needed a lockdown browser. And so like mid-year last year, I got a lockdown browser, and it was a class that we were piloting. A student must have been in that other class, and so I went to go And it wasn't even with the lockdown browser. But I walk into this teacher's classroom. One of the kids goes, "Ugh, it's the lockdown browser guy." And so, like, I told some of the high school teachers, like, thanks a lot. Like, you ruined my street cred. You know, like, I went from being like the fun technology guy to the lockdown browser guy. So
It's almost shirt
I'd say
worthy.
we're gonna first name the lockdown browser guy.
That's hilarious.
So we've talked about a lot of new tech and emerging tech. So let's flip that around a little bit here. What classic piece of tech did you think was going to take off, but just didn't?
I've got one, but I know Kurt personally, and this is gonna hurt him, but I'm gonna say it because, like, I really did. I loved the tool, but Google Tour Creator, I did the coolest stuff in Google Tour Creator. Like, I had like a custom Google drawing that you could import into Tour Creator and do all this awesome stuff. Google Tour Creator was like the coolest tool ever, and I like did all the presentations on it. I believed in it. Kurt was doing ridiculously cool stuff with Google Innovator through it, and like, yeah,
It was a fantastic product, still is a fantastic product. And I think it met a lot of kids where they wanted to be for that entertainment / education piece. I still see things that we could have done with it if they wouldn't have took it away, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of my frustrating things. I mean, Google does so many things well, but then they'll come up with these great things, and then they just decide we're not going to support that anymore. And I'm like, oh my gosh! But I invested so much time with my students, and my teachers on this product that's been innovative and really doing a lot of cool things, and then you just threw it to the
well,
side.
I mean, and think of the money that people spend on Google Expeditions, which is essentially a branch off of the Tour Creator, and it's like you spend $15,000 and it's gone.
Right.
Like, yeah, those kits. Or what about like these cool things?
Oh, both of
Where's
them.
this from? Yeah, right out of the bag.
We've done field trips with those
We
things.
have, right? Yeah, the 360
Yeah,
camera. I still have
nice.
mine.
Still love it.
I've still got mine somewhere. But
Yeah.
mine was the Microsoft Zoom. I thought it was going to be the iPod killer. It never did not.
Mine was probably, back in the day when we used to take iStep, the state used to give you like those little white full-function calculators. For a math teacher, those things were gone. They went away. So sad.
What about you, Kurt?
I had an HD DVD player, and had like 2 DVDs before this little known kind came along, the Blu-ray. I was not on the Blu-ray camp. I was wrong. It wasn't the first time. Probably won't be the last.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting over this next year, 2 years to see where we are with AI the same way. I mean, there's definitely going to be some winners.
Yeah.
There's going to be some great products come along that either price themselves out of the educational market or just unsustainable.
Right.
What are some things, kind of mentioning AI, that you see that you're excited about as far as its use in education?
I kind of like we hit on before, like just giving teachers back time, giving us like in our roles too some time back also, because I mean there's a lot of things that four of us probably do during our daily job that people are like, what do you do today? And I'm like, well, I just put a breakout box together for 2 hours for a teacher. I'm like, that was fun. Or it's like, that's not AI. It's not really going to help that necessarily. But like, there's some other things that you do for teachers that's going to help you be more efficient in your time. I think it's going to help teachers. I think it's going to level the playing field for a lot of learners.
It's going to allow them reappropriate that time to other places that they've always wanted to have time for, but they just haven't.
Right. Like creativity, right? Trying out something new. And I think that's where it's really going to be beneficial for our whole education system.
What I hope to see it do that I don't quite see it doing yet is in our district, and I know in a lot of districts, like, we do PLCs and we spend a lot of time looking at student data. And analyzing data is something that AI can be really good at. And so I hope that it allows us to spend a little less time looking at data. Not that we're not looking at it. We just have something else looking at it and giving us that information. And in terms of reinvesting that time, investing that time not in the kids' data, but in the kids themselves. And then you're designing lessons for the students and their interest as opposed to they didn't learn X concept, so I need to reteach this, blah, blah, blah.
Be able to look at the data and just come back with interventions, like right, almost instantaneous, right?
Well, and Microsoft has a tool called Reading Coach that's coming out. It's actually already out, but it's continuing to develop where they're really putting a lot more AI into it, where not only will it show their weaknesses, but give them that intervention, and it's going to allow them to say, okay, so you're interested in football. Here's some reading passages based on football at that reading
stuff
level.
like that.
Love it. So there's a lot of cool things that I think that's what we're going to see in the next year.
So expanding on that a little bit, do you have any best practices of AI in the classroom that you could share?
Right. I mean, my best advice is like, don't be afraid of it. I mean, we're not at the Skynet level yet. You know, I mean, I know there are concerns, but read up on it. Some listen to those that are trying to, support it. But don't be afraid of it. Like, I think that, and don't just ban it. Don't just. I mean, can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, last school year, it was like block, and even when we introduced it to teacher, like, hey, we want you to know this exists because kids are probably using it.
Mm-hmm.
But I said at the time, because when YouTube first was like a thing, like schools, like, we blocked it, and I was like, and now it's like such an integral. YouTube would be such an integral part of everybody's curriculum that, like, when I was presenting on AI, like, it's blocked right now because we don't understand it and know what it can do yet. But like, this isn't going anywhere.
Right.
And if it's this good right now as like a baby, I can only imagine what it's going to do. And so, like, just because it's blocked now, you can't just like forget about it, because it's coming, and it's
getting baked into
Yes.
so many products, right? Your Adobe Suite has it baked in. Your Google Suite's going to have it baked in.
One of the things that we've talked about in our district also is, well, two things actually. One is the equity piece. You block it, you're going to have kids that are going to go home and are going to buy the ChatGPT subscription or whatever. Those that don't have it, now you have those that haven't and don't have access to that resource. The second thing also is, AI is all based on what's been put into the system, and it's going to have some biases, and we want our voice to be heard within that system as it's being developed. And so one of the things we're talking about, how do you identify those biases in there, and how can you contribute to overcoming some of these biases when you're looking, not only just not copy and pasting, but really looking at the content and say, okay, how do I vet this content now that it's given it to me?
Yeah, I can't just turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah. So we've talked AI, we've talked everything in the classroom. A couple questions we gave you that we were interested in.
Okay.
So number one is, do you check your phone first when you wake up, or do you go to the bathroom first?
You were eager to answer this. So
Yes.
I'll let you start.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, I have to thank the doctors that operated on my eyes many years ago and gave me LASIK surgery. I check my phone, right? But what I do is I pick it up on the way to the restroom. So
I touched your phone earlier.
Yes, hand sanitizer down
I've
there.
got some hand sanitizer in the bag here.
hey, there's some down the vendor.
So, and this is a real answer. On Wednesdays, I check my phone first. All the other days, I go to the bathroom first.
I wouldn't expect any other kind of answer than Chris given
Here's
right
why.
now.
I was like, I want to know the
Fantasy
why.
football waivers happen at like 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning. And so, like, the first thing I do is look at, like, did I get the players I wanted? Who did the other teams drop? Is there anybody I want? Because you got to do that early, or else the players are gone. And so, literally Wednesday mornings,
He wakes up at
I
4.
I get up my
Yeah.
no, I get up on my normal time, which is like 6-ish. But yeah, so on Wednesdays I will check my phone. The other days I'm going to the bathroom. I gotta go. I also, when you were talking about like surgery, I didn't know where that was going.
Where'd you think it was?
I don't know.
When it went to family
When
show.
it went to LASIK, I was relieved.
But episode.
Well,
yeah, that's right. A family show. Chris. Come on.
I appreciate both of you coming on. I mean, our time is
Wait,
up.
are you sure?
I
Did not go longer?
no, we are done. No.
We can get some after credits.
Yeah, they definitely did not disappoint. We told you that we would be hearing a lot of great content as well as some humor as well. That's why I titled it "If You Know, You Know." If you've ever been to hear any of them speak, we appreciate you coming in. If you get a chance, find them, give them big hugs. They love hugs.
Side hugs.
Oh, side hugs. No, full on bear hugs.
Chris carries a Sharpie. He'll sign your
Don't-
shoes. if you
Don't
want.
shake my hand because I don't have hands.
Well, thank you guys very much. We hope to see you. Don't forget tonight we have in just 30 minutes we have our annual meeting where you can help vote and determine who's going to be on the HECC board, which will help determine what happens next year for the HECC conference, as well as we have a reception where we have a vendor that has provided some great snacks and drinks available for you as well. So that starts at just right after 3:30 after the last session for today and goes till 5:30. Hope you're having a great time. We have 2 more podcasts coming up tomorrow on our final day of HECC. Anything left, Kurt?
And also going to have Plinko up there at that
yes.
that meeting. So I come up and see who gets to do the Plinko chip
Yes.
from the drop boxes out there in the vendor
Yeah.
halls.
Yesterday's was Morgan. I forget her last name, but her first try all the way to $100 on her first one. So
Can I
we're-
give you today's winner right now?
no, you cannot. So, quick, that's off the camera. Thank you all, and I hope you have a great day.
See y'all.
See ya.